Hi everyone. My final game of the WTC 2023, and this was against one of the Spanish teams, and I was playing against a guy who went by the name of Polilla. I don't actually know if that was your real name or if it was just your call sign. Sorry, I'm not that great at Spanish, I guess. But he was an all-round nice guy. It was a good game. We had a little bit of rules at sometimes, which it does happen with the Spanish, not because of ill will, I'll say, but it does happen because of translation. The translation of the bold action rule book is not that great when it was translated into Spanish. There are mistakes, I think. Um, but I will go through the game with you guys. This was a game where both of the teams had sort of resurfaced back up. We had done a submarine, both teams. Um, the Spanish team, I think it was Spain 4. They had sort of clawed their way back up through a couple of wins, and as had we on the second day. So we were not on the top tables, but had things gone just a little differently for some of the top teams, we could have been both teams. Um, so, right, let's go and watch the game, shall we? I just need to find my PowerPoint here. There we go. So, game 6 of the WTC. And I was playing Timely Objectives versus Polilla, and he had it was a matchup. It was a Brit versus Brits, so it was a civil war. And he had a very interesting autocannon spam list. He had so much anti-tank capability that this list seemed to have been designed to fight against my Stuarts. He had, what was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He at least had 5 vehicles that were, some of them were armadillos. I do remember that. Some of them were long-range desert group trucks with autocannons. Um, he had a stationary autocannon as well. Um, he had commandos for his infantry. He had engineers, so a mix of infantry and a sniper. Which turned out to be key. I, of course, had my standard 3 Stewards, 3 Gurkhas, Indians, and Dark Jeeps list. Go and watch the list videos I did with Alistair and Russell. Both Polilla's list and mine are there in detail. I was not especially pleased with this matchup. It was not a matchup I wanted. Because he had the means to shot me down simply by shooting. He could shot down my stewards, and if he can shot them down quite quickly, that was my thought. Then I would not be able to push into the objectives. So the matchup was not necessarily favorable for me. However, my list is very good at killing infantry, and this was timely objective where infantry is the only thing that can take objectives. So I was also pretty confident that the mission, I was well suited for the mission. So yeah, this was the table. Um, I will say that there was more, and it was set up a little bit differently. There were more linear obstacles along this road, which meant that everything was in hard cover most of the time. This picture was taken the night before, so on Friday night, and the judges went around and put more stuff on it all through the evening and the night. So there were linear obstacles all around this village and all along this road as well. So, but this was more or less the table. The objectives end up with one place right between the houses, and the houses were actually close enough that if you were in the houses, you were contesting the objective, which was cool. So we had one in the house. We had, where was the rest of them? One here, I think. One there. They were slanted towards this end. I do remember that. So, and Polilla gets this side of the table. I got that side of the table. And right, my plan was to damage his infantry as quick as I could using my stewards, and then maybe try and push into the objectives turn 3, and get ahead then. I also really wanted, um, because as soon as the setup was starting, I wanted to be able to jump from this house and onto the objective. Um, I knew that that was always going to hurt because he had so much darker that it was going to hurt. Whatever moved up there was going to get shot at. But I felt like I had to do that. So what I did was I placed all my stewards basically in a clump down here. They could get hard cover behind these walls that were here. I placed my vehicles, my LVT and my truck and my darker jeeps. All of it was down here. No, I had one darker jeep up here. So that was what I did. I had my artillery observer and a unit of Gurkhas here. I had a unit of Gurkhas and the Indians here. I can't remember where I put the final unit of Gurkhas. Maybe behind this wood. Um, and again, my opponent does something that I'm really happy about. He spreads out his army. So he had one of his anti-tank vehicles here, he had one here, he had two down here, and he had one over here or in reserve that came on over here at this point. And he runs up his infantry here because with two objectives on this road, it's always going to be those that are important. And since he had hard cover, there were like lines of hard cover, walls, hedges along here. He could push up there. Now, I had a steward sitting here watching that one, being able to move up, and I thought if ever I get free of skirmishing with these vehicles, I'm going to turn in, um, and then I can maybe push the rest of my stewards this way. So if I could have one steward like engaging two of his and have them sort of be a separate fight, I wanted that because that would enable me to push two stewards the other way, where his infantry was. Now, everything changed after roll number 1. My plan changed, and the new plan was to push everything into here along this road and just roll him up from the side. And I'll tell you what happened. Because the decisive moment comes with the first order dice. The very, very first one which I get. My steward here can just see his truck over there, and it's timed objectives, and I've moved to get up, so I need a 7 to hit him with my main gun. But he's open topped. You know what? I'll shoot my main gun and I'll shoot my machine guns. Maybe I'll get that 7, give him a pin. That's what I thought. I pick up a dice for my main gun, roll a 6. I pick up the dice, roll a 6, and I've hit him. I've hit him with the first shot of the game with my main gun. And he's just a truck. He's an armored truck. He's 7 plus or something like that. And I've rolled another 7, another 6 for penetration, and I'm through. And his mouth, his jaw just dropped, because that was an immediate kill, and I could see him just in shock viewing that car. I couldn't, however, kill it. I rolled like a 1 and a 2, so it was immobilized, but that was just as well because its anti-tank gun was pointing backwards. It was facing me, and the anti-tank gun was rear-facing, so he couldn't employ his anti-tank gun. And I was like, I'm free. I can move. What? What the hell just happened? Um, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, right, I am pushing everything towards the objectives on the flank. So all my stewards move up, everything move up here. I do get pinned by his artillery observer. He, of course, had a free artillery observer. I get pinned for 1 turn. Um, and that pinning means that my Indians who had moved into the house fail their charge against his sniper who sits in the house opposite. So he actually gets, like the first 2 or 3 turns, he gets two objectives each turn, which means that by turn 3 he's ahead. But I wasn't worried at all. At this point, I knew that I had won the game because I just needed to clear him off the objectives and sit on them from turn 3 onwards, and the game was mine. Turn 2 or 3, I shake off some of the pins and I move my stewards up here, and I get a free shot down towards his this on right on this edge here where my cursor is. He had placed his stationary anti-tank gun, his stationary anti-air gun. It was an autocannon. I hate autocannons. And I shoot everything at it. And in one fell swoop of shooting, I kill it. I just murder it outright. Um, and at this point, he is like, what, and he can do nothing. Everything that I aim at, it dies. Um, At some point, I push up my Gurkhas here onto to both objectives, contesting one, taking the other. He and I knew that he had that. He had an engineer unit on our flank. They move in, they flame my Gurkhas, and I survive. Um, so and he was like, "That was it. That was game." Yes, I said. I know that was the game. I know I've won this game for quite a long while, but it doesn't matter. We should fight on just to figure out where we end up in the standings. Um, and at that point, my stewards were like, they were killing one of his anti-tank capabilities a turn. They were just pinging them out. Um, One of his trucks survived for quite a long while by wrecking back, but everything else just gets shot at and pinned and shot at and pinned. And the infantry that he has on the objectives here, I shoot at them with my machine guns, they go down, and then I charge them, and they get murdered. There was really nothing Polilla could do, even though he tried. He did fight his best, but he simply had no chance. This was a game that I felt where I felt like nothing went wrong. Nothing could possibly ever have gone wrong. Everything I aimed at got killed. Everything I aimed at got murdered every single time. I made 0 mistakes, but I could have been less fortunate with the dice. My dice were on fire this game. Um, so, but everything could only succeed. There was no other opportunity. And the result was a very convincing win for me, both in the victory points, but also in order dice. I pick up 12 of Polilla's order dice, and I lose 1 order dice. My LVT got murdered by his artillery bombardment. Um, it landed straight on me and killed it, and that was it. I rolled over him completely. It there was even a possibility at some point that that I would table him, but he played very well. He played very conservatively. He tried to stay alive always. He tried to keep his infantry and his vehicles alive. He just could not do it. Um, so that was the final game, and once that game was over, I felt like I had been on fire. I felt like I had done everything I could to claw my way back into some sort of respectable result. In the end, for me, I believe I came top 10, number 8 or something like that in the individual standings. And the team, we came like 6th or something like that. So that was pretty good, clawing our way back from a few losses and draws on the first day. I was very happy with the team. I was very happy with our results. Um, Unfortunately, we had one player who had lost quite a few of his matches, and he was unhappy both with his list, I think, and also with his own performance. He had just been so unlucky with his dice most of the days, and I think there were even like one game or two games where he felt like he had gotten the wrong matchup. That will happen sometimes. But overall, I was really happy with how the team performed. Um, so we weren't sad that we didn't get the goal this time, although we would have wanted that, of course. But we were really happy with our performance, especially on day two, where we absolutely trounced everyone we got set up against. So yeah, that was the WTC. I'm already looking forward to next year. So right, bye.